Do you all know the term chikan? It is also expressed as molester in English. It refers to the act of sexually assaulting others, typically in crowded situations like rush hours, taking advantage of the difficulty in being identified as the perpetrator. In the context of Chikan, Japan is often referred to as the Chikan Capital. Japan is one of the world's leading countries in the development of pornography and the sex industry, alongside South Korea and China. While external factors like internet information and crowded trains are commonly discussed as contributing to the issue, the fundamental causes may lie in cultural traits unique to the Japanese people. Here are my conclusions, and I will delve into each one from an insider's perspective. Tendency to bully the weak. Japanese culture sometimes exhibits a tendency to bully those perceived as weaker. Exclusive nature. There can be a sense of exclusivity or exclusivism in Japanese society, which may lead to a lack of empathy towards others. Gender hierarchy. Traditional gender roles in Japan often place men above women, resulting in imbalances of power. Silenced and repressed groups. Japanese society places a strong emphasis on conformity and can suppress the expression of individual opinions. Diligence and conscientiousness. Japanese people are known for their diligent and conscientious nature. As a Japanese person, I will now provide a more detailed explanation of each of these characteristics from an insider's perspective. Tendency to bully the weak. Japan is also known as a country with a prevalent and insidious bullying problem. Bullying occurs in schools, workplaces, neighborhoods, and any place where people gather. For instance, the number of reported bullying cases in schools in 2021 exceeded 610,000, and this number has been on the rise every year. The essence of bullying lies in deriving pleasure from dominating others. Those who seek to place themselves in a relatively stronger position, individuals who lack absolute values or possess below-average abilities, often become perpetrators. Japan has a deeply ingrained culture of seeking out those who are perceived as weaker, and it's a culture where individuals are eager to assert their dominance over others. Furthermore, bullying in Japan is often insidious. It cleverly exploits the weaknesses of others and isolates them within a minority. In a culture that embraces bullying, chikan becomes almost like a specialty. The victims targeted in cases of chikan are typically young women who appear timid and unfamiliar with societal norms. Those who engage in chikan use their honed sense of identifying potential victims, developed through the culture of bullying, to seek out women who seem vulnerable to the extraordinary fear of chikan. Exclusive nature. Japan's history of an exclusive nature dates back quite far. Being an island nation, Japan was reluctant to welcome outsiders until its defeat by the United States. While proud of its unique culture, Japan was hesitant to embrace new things. As successive Japanese governments have been desperate to protect vested interests. For instance, while Japan is currently accepting foreign laborers to address its aging population, the welcoming attitude is mostly superficial, and there is an underlying tendency to look down upon them as mere labor force. And in companies, schools, and local communities, newcomers are generally treated with coldness. The creation of new environments is what Japan fears the most. This exclusivity translates into a reluctance to allow outsiders into one's own territory. Conversely, it is understood that intruding into someone else's territory without permission is deeply uncomfortable for the other party. Chikan involves an unauthorized intrusion into someone's physical safety zone, inflicting significant psychological harm by breaching their safety zone without consent. In other words, in conjunction with the aforementioned tendency to bully the weak, it amplifies the pleasure derived from chikan. Gender hierarchy. Chikan can also be seen as an act of regaining control by dominating or suppressing those perceived as weaker. It is rooted in the desire for male dominance. In Japan, there has long been a tradition of men using sex to dominate and control women. Gender discrimination remains deeply ingrained in Japanese society, and recently, It was even evident in the manipulation of pass rates in university entrance exams. The idea that women are tools for bearing children still persists in rural Japan, with little room for questioning such beliefs. In many cases, men view women as objects. To go further, in cases of rape or sexual assault, the victim and perpetrator often have some form of acquaintance, but chikan occurs between complete strangers. While each person has a name and a personality, within the confines of a crowded train, they become mere components. This environment fosters the idea of viewing victimized women as mere objects, silenced and repressed groups. In Japan, individuals grow up within controlled groups from a young age. They live in fear of the scrutiny of teachers and the cold gazes of classmates, often being allowed only to conform to uniform behaviors. Those who deviate from the norm become targets of bullying. They have learned to stifle their own opinions and have grown by living in harmony with the atmosphere around them. Even among such Japanese individuals, there naturally exists a sense of self. Have you ever seen Japanese salarymen, perhaps when they are drunk, letting their emotions loose in a way that seems uncharacteristic of their daily lives? Alcohol provides them with the means to confront others. Consequently, the ability to have one's own individual standards is compromised, and a cognitive distortion that only allows for relative evaluation can develop. Now, I will introduce the cognitive distortions that Japanese Chikan hold. These are real voices that emerge during group meetings where participants in molestation rehabilitation programs shared their experiences. Women who wear revealing clothing have no choice but to expect Chikan. Many women start to enjoy Chikan after experiencing it. There are plenty of people who do worse things than me. Women unconsciously desire to be molested. I work hard so I can get away with Chikan. Just a little touch doesn't diminish anything for women. These distortions reveal a self-centered perspective that fails to understand how they are living within their own egocentric bubble. By the way, in these groups, participants were asked a very simple question: why did you engage in molestation? It's a straightforward question. However, very few participants could provide an answer. Despite repeatedly committing countless acts, they had never deeply considered why they did it. It's possible that society has deprived them of the ability to think critically. Diligent and conscientious nature. Do you know the profile of a Chikan? The notion that they are men with strong sexual desires but unable to find a partner is off the mark. According to research, more than half of these individuals are men in their prime working years, typically university or graduate school graduates, who are employed. In a study released by Toyo University in 2021, the offenders were distributed across various professions, with 21% being police officers, 12% local government employees, and 11% national government employees. When including educators and others, government employees accounted for over half of the cases. Furthermore, their age group primarily consists of those in their 30s, 30%, followed by those in their 40s, 25%, and individuals in their 20s and 50s, each at 18%. These individuals meticulously research their targets and hunting grounds, as their top priority is to avoid getting caught. They may excel in academic pursuits, as they often followed a prescribed path, and may harbor some form of inferiority complex or low self-esteem. This could be seen as a stereotypical representation of Japanese individuals from an international perspective. While I have previously focused on racial factors, let's reconsider external factors like the environment. A prominent business magazine, Canadian Business, has stated that China, South Korea, and Japan are the world's 3 major markets driving the adult industry. I cannot speak for other countries, but it is a fact that Japan has a well-developed adult video industry, adult products, and various forms of adult entertainment. However, sexual desire itself is an essential aspect of any species and should not be denied. Nevertheless, the adult industry operates as a legitimate business, providing services and receiving fair compensation in return. It is entirely different from structures like Chikan, where one party unilaterally benefits. Chikan inflicts immense suffering on its victims. Some victims resort to self-harm or even contemplate suicide. However, Chikan men will never empathize with their victims' feelings. Instead, it may strengthen their sense of conquest. It's a sad reality, but the Japanese people possess these traits quite strongly. They are a race with significant potential to become Chikan men.